G'day everyone, welcome to episode 7 of Sailing Quick Creations, where we're restoring a 46-foot steel hull John Pugh sailboat. So they're not going to have a busy week this week. I worked afternoon shift and that's really cuts into my time a lot, so we don't get a lot of light hours to work on the boat. So we'll quickly go through the whiteboard before we get on to all my tasks that we're going to do. So I've scrubbed off the two that we put up in whiteboard marker, and that's replace dissimilar metals. So we'll get that in the in progress column. We're going to continue working on that this week, try and tackle the dissimilar metals in the bow of the boat. We've gotten rid of that one by the cockpit, just want to fix up the bow. And we've got the corrosion in the cockpit. We probably won't finish that this week. We will get onto that next week. That'll be all done next week. So we will just add a few more to the to-do list. We've got replace the steering column. We're not going to do that for a little while. Complete the staircase. So the stairs are a little bit small. It's a bit of a large step to get up onto the boat. So we'll just make that a little bit easier for everyone. We've got temporary flooring inside the boat. So that'll make it a lot easier to start maneuvering around in there. Clean the inboard of the boat. So we've got all the garnet that you saw last week inside the boat. Got to clean that all up. We've got bird's nests, we've got spiders, we've got lots of crap in there. Got to level the boat. So the boat is on a very severe lean. Whoever set it all up, they've put the acro props up and that, but they've just put them on timbers, and over the years the termites have eaten all the timbers and all the acro props are starting to sink into the dirt. So we need to level it all up again, and then we've got to put some probably concrete pads for it to sit on, or we're going to get some large steel C-channel or something, spread that load out so it's not going to sink into the dirt. And then we've got install and weld the safety rails around the outside of the boat. So they're all just tacked together at the moment. They're not fully welded and there's a few pieces missing. So we've got my kids going up on top of the boat every now and then, so we want the safety rails in place. So that's what we're up to at the moment. Yeah, we're not going to have a lot of footage this week, so we'll see how we go, and let's have a look at what we're going to do. We're down where the steering column was. I've made up this round plug that we're going to put in here. Don't know if you can see on the camera, but I've already cut it out and I blasted it, giving it a bit of profile for the paint to stick on. I still will have to blast it again before the final coat goes on, but we're just going to give it a bit of a etch prime with some stuff I've got in a can laying around, and when we've finished all the weld repairs we'll go and touch up each area and paint them properly. For now I'm just going to pop this in, I'm going to weld it, and that'll be this job done. Don't know if you can see, but I've just tacked this side. This side's just sitting a little bit low, so I'm going to go down below, tap that up so it's nice and flush on this side. We don't have that lip, and then tack this side and then weld it all up. Now you can see it's nice and smooth now. So I've welded up the hole and ground my welds back. I've now taken off this leftover material that was for the steering column and taken a lot of the corrosion off. I'm just going to give that a coat of undercoat. It's not going to be the final coat. I'll blast this all off later and paint it properly, but for now we're just going to hold the nice clean steel as best we can. So we're just going to give it a lick of paint. Doesn't matter which paint, you can use any paint as long as it covers it. There we go, that job's done. So we finished the aft area of the bowsprit here, getting rid of the dissimilar metals, and it's nicely cut out in here, and then no more dissimilar metals in this part. I've still got to just grind a little bit off the side here for where it cut, still a little bit attached there. Still got to cut out this part in the forward section of the bowsprit. So one thing that's hindering is a little bit is this pole that runs down here holding the handrails on. Now when you think about what I'm planning on doing, I want a deck that goes all the way out to the end of the bowsprit. So these coming under, it's not necessary, it's not bad, it's just not necessary. It is stopping me from getting my grinder in there to take these pieces out. So I will probably be making a cut down here and then removing this section here. When I install my deck, I will move the elbow to wherever the deck height is and actually just attach these safety rails to the deck instead of the bottom of the bowsprit. It's not a bad idea putting it there, it's just this was a bad idea and I need to take this out and these are hindering me, so I'll just modify these to suit the application that we're going to be doing now, and let's get on to that. Sometimes it's good when you're removing other people's work that they're actually not very good welders. So there's very little holding that on. So there's nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. Just a couple of little spots. But it's off now. Don't have to worry about that poor work. I did notice we've got some little spots here which they didn't have corrosion in them. I'm going to assume they were corroded and someone's just filled them up full of paint or something. So I hit them with a wire wheel. We'll just put paint on it for now, but I will either weld these up or I will cut the section out and put a new bar in there. Most likely I'll just weld them up, but if I find that I'm blowing through as I weld it, I will probably just replace that section. So we're finished with this dissimilar metals up here at the bow. We've primed it and it's just sitting there ready for rebuild. So that job's complete. Got this hatch here. This will be removed coming soon, and we're going to be putting another double plate like this one where this hatch is, and we'll leave this one here and we'll probably fair it off smooth so it doesn't look like a big transition and horrible looking welds there, as you can see. But we might leave that there because it could make a good inner stay. Just weld a lug on here, and if I want to make a cutter rig, I can have a roller filling on the forestay, and we can have an inner stay here, and we can run a cutter rig. Since we might just be doing a lot of coastal cruising to begin with, that might not be needed straight away. We might just use the forestay mainsail, might be fine, but we'll see how we go. So this hatch here is going to be removed. This one will be brought down to here, and then this hatch is going about here. So it's a bit of a move, but yeah, we'll put this hatch in near this weld seam here. That will give us an escape hatch and ventilation for the bedroom. There's a bedroom underneath this part of the deck. In between this weld here and this weld here, there's a bathroom, and then there's a forward cabin underneath these two hatches. Since we're not going to be using this forward cabin as basically a berth, we want the escape hatch in the bedroom where the kids are going to be sleeping, and ventilation. So yeah, we'll move it down over there. I just had to join these two pieces of steel together, so just ran a bead of weld down it. Just thought I'd run past something that I've done on parts of the hull already, but any sort of structural welding that you might want to do on your boat is to do a dye penetrant test to make sure that you got no cracks or holes or anything in your weld, and it's going to be strong enough. So to do a test, you want to clean your weld up, and you don't want to clean it up using any mechanical means like flapper discs or grinding discs. We can go into detail another day if you want to know the ins and outs of it, but basically if you have a hole or a crack, mechanically dressing it will roll the knurl the metal over into those holes. But just with a wire brush, my welds are a little bit messy because I'm using a gasless MIG. I don't have a full-blown setup. So the weld doesn't look too bad visually, don't have any undercuts. I stopped and started here, but the stop and start looks pretty good. Got a lot of splatter around the sides just because it's gasless MIG. I could put a guard on there, you spray it with like a splatter seal, and you don't get that, but it's not important. I'll just run over it with a flapper when I'm finished. The weld's not so bad. So first things first, you got to clean and prep the weld for inspection. Using Ardrox, this is a nice pre-cleaner. So you don't want to spray it directly onto the weld because you can get it into the cracks, which won't allow the dye to test. So get a nice clean rag and spray it on the rag, and we clean up the weld. Got a little bit of dirt on there, so I'm going to find another clean area. There. Spray again. Now, didn't get any dirt on it this time, so I'm happy with that being clean. next step is to put dye on there. So normally speaking, I'd have a paintbrush and I'll put a little bit of dye on it and I'll paint that on. I think I'm out of paintbrushes, so we'll spray it on this time. Now we're going to leave that for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes we'll come back and we'll just have a look at the next step. Alright, we've left that for 10 minutes now. I'm going to wipe it up and show you what's happening. First of all, I just get the excess off. Right, now with the remover, you don't want to wipe it, you just want to pat it down. Still getting red dye off, so find another area. Looking good. All right. So we've wiped up all the dye, and the next step is to put developer on. So it's like a white chalky powder you spray on. So you leave the white chalky powder on there for 10 minutes and then that's its development time. So we can go into nitty gritties if we want on another day, but basically this has a wetting ability that soaks into any cracks and pits, and then this draws that out. So if there's a crack, this goes right down into the crack, this lays on top and soaks all that dye out. Yeah, it just goes to see if your welds are nice and structural and if they're not going to crack and break. So after waiting half hour, test our weld. Now as you can see, there's a little bit of red dye around these pits. That's because you just can't get in there and clean it all, but there's no red dye coming. There's a tiny bit of discoloration of pink on the toe of that weld and on this side, but that's no cracks and there's no pitting and there's no porosity. So I mean, that's a good weld. It looks a bit messy because it's gasless and we've got splatter all over the place, but it's structurally sound and it's not going to cause any problems, so I will dress that back and that's ready to go on the boat. That brings us to the end of another episode. I didn't get a lot of time to work on the boat this week due to me working afternoon shift. Just hard to get down, not enough light hours and everything, but next week's going to be a big week. We're going to get stuck into the bow. Hopefully I might even get it finished. That would be exciting, but yeah, we might be pushing it for time. It is a big job. I've got to move all the hatches into their correct positions and we'll see how we go. But if everyone's enjoying the episode, leave a comment, leave a like and subscribe if you want. It helps us boost our page up, gets more people seeing. I'm hoping once we hit a few more subscribers and views, I'll start putting in a lot more technical details. I want to run through a lot of coating applications and weld inspections. That's my specialty. So I've added a little sneak peek of a welding inspection into this episode. However, if we get a lot more people on board, I'll put out some specialist episodes on technical reviews, and I'll start doing a little bit more detail on those sort of things. So everyone hit a like and subscribe, and we'll get cracking on to some more projects. Thanks guys.